boys and girls, it's me, Mrs. Salmon. I'm just setting up our next lesson. Today, we're going to draw a still life.
Oh, hi, Mommy.
Hey, Rye.
Ooh, an apple.
Yeah, we're going to do a... Oh, no. Ryan, that's our still life.
Sorry.
That's okay. We've got more apples. We do like eating apples in this house, don't we? So today, we're going to draw a still life, and I'm also going to teach you some really fantastic tips on how to draw. Are you ready to get started? Come on, let's go do art.
Do art. Do art. Doodly-doo. Do art. Do art. Doodly-doo. Just grab your paper and your pencil too. You can grab your scissors, markers, and your glue. You can do art. You can doodly-doo. Do art. Do art. Doodly-doo. Do art. Do art. Do what? Art. You're smart. Hey, are you on your way to see Mrs. Salmon? Yeah, I'm gonna do art. What are you gonna do today? Oh, today Mrs. Salmon's gonna teach us how to draw a still life. Oh, what's a still life? Well, I can tell you that. A still life is simply a painting or a drawing of objects that don't move. They're still, like fruit and vegetables, flowers and vases. What's a vase? A vase, a vase. Oh yeah, or any objects really. This is different from a portrait or a figure drawing, as those things can move. Ha! Drawing something still sounds super easy. Imagine having to get a person to sit still for hours while you draw them. Hey man, can you stop moving already? Yeah, what a pain. Now if you draw a still life, an apple for example, you won't hear them complaining. I hope not. If an apple starts talking to you, you're in trouble. Well, still life drawings are also of objects that are close to you, not like a landscape drawing, which is something far away. Oh, I remember that lesson with Mrs. Salmon. Come on, let's go and see what Mrs. Salmon's teaching us now. Yeah, let's go.
Now, what I like best about drawing still lifes is the fact that we can all look at them in our own way. What's most important is that we are observing our object. Now, you might look at a still life and love the shapes. I might look at the same still life and love the color and shading. Artists have been drawing still lifes for hundreds of years. Some of the most famous still life paintings were done by a French artist named Paul Cézanne. Cézanne is said to be one of the most revolutionary artists of the 19th century. His work changed the course of modern art. Let's look at some of Paul Cézanne's still lifes. There's two things that you need when drawing a still life: an object or several objects, and lighting. Now, as it's our first time drawing a still life together, I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to choose one object to draw, and I've chosen a gorgeous, red, juicy apple. Now that we've chosen our object, we need to set it up and make sure there's nothing else in our picture. Our object, the apple, is going to be the main attraction. I have set up our apple on a simple white surface with a white background. This way, our apple is really going to stand out. Now, what's going to make our apple even more special is all the magic we're going to do with our shading and our shadows. I'm going to teach you these super clever drawing tips. Our still life is ready to draw. Let's talk about the things you're going to need for today's lesson. They're on the board behind me. Today you're going to need several sheets of white paper. One of those sheets is for our still life drawing, of course. The others are going to be when we practice some fantastic drawing tips I'm going to give you to make your still life drawing amazing. You're also going to need a pencil and some colored pencils. I'd love it if you could have red, yellow, brown, and gray. But if you don't have all of those colors, try to find something that's similar. You're also going to need a rubber. Now, if you have all of those things, you're ready to get started. Before we do our still life drawing, I'm going to teach you some fantastic tips on how to draw. Now, these tips are not only going to help you make an amazing still life drawing today, they're also going to help you whenever you draw. We're going to talk about how simple things like holding your pencil and shading can help make a wonderful piece of art. You're going to need a pencil and a few sheets of white paper to practice on. Let's get those things together and let's get started. Now we're going to work with a few sheets of white paper today. Let's take out our first sheet of white paper. We're going to do some practicing before we draw. Now let's talk about holding a pencil. I know you all know how to hold a pencil, but the way you hold your pencil is important when you draw. Now today, I don't want you to hold your pencil at the tip. This only allows you to make little movements like this. You have to hold the pencil tight when it's close to the tip as well. Let's hold the pencil further up, just a bit, and let's hold it nice and loosely between our thumb and our pointer finger. If you do a grip like this, it also allows you to move your wrist, and your wrist becomes like a compass. Your fingers are loose and your wrist is loose. Now on our piece of paper, let's practice drawing a line with our pencil loosely gripped at our fingers and our wrist nice and loose as well. Do it with me. Let's draw a line. Now in drawing a line, we use our fingers to move the pencil up and down. We're not dabbing like this. We're using our fingers to move the pencil up and down to draw our line. See how our fingers are doing the moving? Nice long lines. Don't press down too hard. Very good. Now let's practice drawing a curved line. Remember to keep your finger grip loose and your wrist loose too. We're not going to press down too hard on the paper. We're making nice breezy curves. When your wrist is loose, it's like a compass. Move your wrist and the pencil will make a curve. Well done. Now let's draw a circle. Again, use your fingers to move the pencil around and keep your wrist loose to help it create the circle. Find a little space on your paper and let's go. I'm keeping my wrist loose and my grip is loose and I'm making a circle. Let's do another one to practice. My wrists are loose and moving around and my finger grip is loose. Now it doesn't matter if your circle is perfect. It's your circle. It's unique to you. This is all just practice. Let's talk about shading now. Shading can create the illusion of light in your drawings. There are two different ways to hold your pencil when shading. Now we can hold our pencil like normal with the pointer finger and the thumb gripping it. Now we can use the point end of the pencil and we can shade. We can shade by creating darker lines and gradually going into lighter lines like this. See how that works? Now with shading, you always start with a darker line first by pressing down harder on your pencil, and you gradually get lighter and lighter. This is what creates the illusion of shade. The second way we can shade is by turning our pencil around and holding it on the inside of your palm like this. This allows you to use the side of your pencil. So you see that? This is our normal grip. We're going to turn the pencil around and hold it on the inside. So your pointer finger is what's putting the pressure on the pencil. So watch this. This allows you to use the side of the pencil and it gives you a different type of shading. It's more like a rub. Instead of drawing lines, you're making more like a rub. And the more pressure you put on your pencil, the darker your rub will be. And when you release that pressure, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. Let's do it again. The pressure on your pencil makes the darker lines. Release the pressure and your shading gets lighter and lighter and lighter. Now if you like, you can pause the video and practice shading some more. Don't forget there's 2 ways to shade. One, making lines, holding your pencil in a normal grip, or turning your pencil on the inside of your palm, turning the pencil over and making more like a rub. So if you like, give it a go.
Hey, we've learned some super cool tips about holding our pencil and shading. Have you been practicing? Yeah, I think I'm getting pretty good at it. But why do we need to know how to do shading in a still life drawing? Shading creates shadows and it gives our drawings depth. It helps to make the objects we're drawing not look flat. When we draw our still life, we don't want it to look flat. We want it to look real. Oh, well, what do we need to create a shadow in our still life drawing? That's easy. We need light. Oh yeah, light. You're so smart.
I have a great way to help us understand the importance of light when we're doing a still life drawing. Let's draw 2 circles on our paper. Use the tips we've just learned. Remember to keep your grip up a little bit higher than your tip and keep your grip loose and your wrist loose as well. Let's draw 1 circle on this side of the paper and another circle on this side of the paper. Now it doesn't matter if your circles aren't perfect. We're just practicing shading. Shading is going to create volume in our circle. It's going to make them into 3D shapes. Does anyone know what a 3D circle is called? A sphere, that's right. With the help of shading, our circles will not look flat. I don't want you to draw this light bulb that I'm drawing. I'm simply drawing it so you can see where the light is going to hit our circle. So if the light is coming from above and to the left of our circle, where do you think our shading is going to go on this circle? If the light is hitting it here, where will the shading go? Where will the dark side of the circle be? If you said down here and to the right, you are correct. Now let's shade under this part of our circle. Now you can hold your grip either way that we learned. I'm holding it in the normal way and doing more of a line shading. You can also flip your pencil around and hold the grip like this and do a rub. Either way is fine. And remember, you put pressure on your pencil to make it dark, and when you relieve the pressure, it makes it lighter. That's how we make our shading. Okay, and that's our first circle. Our second circle, I'm going to put our light above and to the right of our circle. This is my funny light bulb here. Hopefully you can tell. And the light is going to shine on our circle from the top right. Now if the light is shining down on our circle in this direction, where do you think our shading is going to be now? If you said on the bottom and to the left, you are correct. Let's do some shading. This is great practice for us. Remember, the harder you push down on your pencil, the darker it's going to be. Now I'm going to switch over with my grip and do rubbing. It's a little bit easier. It's hard to get a curve when you're rubbing, but this is just practice, so it's okay if we make mistakes. Now we're going to go dark to light. Relieve the pressure, and it makes your shading lighter. Okay, there you go. Do you see how shading your object gave it depth? It's no longer flat. Your circle has become a sphere. You've created a 3D object with your pencil. Aren't you clever? Now for our final drawing tip. Let's put a shadow on the circles we just drew. This is called a cast shadow. What is a cast shadow, you say? It's a shadow that is cast by an object that is standing on it. If light is being blocked by an object, the object will cast a shadow. Just like a shadow that you cast when you're standing in the sun, you are the object blocking the light from the ground that you're standing on. You're casting a shadow. Depending on which direction the light is hitting you, your shadow will move. So let's apply that to the two spheres we just drew. For our first sphere, the light is coming from above and to the left. So our shadow will be cast under to the right, where our shading is. Watch how I draw the cast shadow. Now this is where the shadow will be under our first sphere. The light is hitting our sphere and casting a shadow under here. Now we're simply just going to draw a shadow, a circle around the bottom of our sphere, and then we're going to color it in. Now usually a shadow is quite dark, but we're just practicing, so color it in with your pencil and bear down hard so you can make it a bit darker. And there's our first shadow. Our second sphere, the light is coming from above and to the right. So where do you think our cast shadow will be? You're right, it's going to be under and to the left, beneath our shading. So follow me, let's draw our cast shadow. Just a simple circle underneath, and remember this is just practice, so it doesn't have to be perfect, of course. And there we go, that's our cast shadow for our second sphere. Now let's apply all these super tips we've learned into our still life drawing. I'm going to keep our still life here on the screen. Follow along with me and let's draw it together. Let's pick up our red colored pencil. Did you know that an apple is about the same size as your fist? Let's make a fist and put it right about where we want to draw our apple. Remember, we're not going to put our apple in the middle of the page. We're not going to put it at the bottom, but we're going to put it somewhere in between the middle and the bottom. Now don't forget your pencil grip, not too far down, just about here. We're going to keep our wrist nice and loose and make a circular motion. Remember, it's not a perfect circle, it's an apple. There you go. What do you think? Now that we've drawn the outline of our apple, let's do some shading. You see the shading is on the right side of the apple. Let's start at the bottom right, where the darkest part of the shading is. We're going to press down on our red colored pencil to make the darker parts of the shading. And we're going to gradually release the pressure of our pencil when we want the shading to be lighter. How's it going? Remember, the darkest part is on the bottom, and we're gradually going to get lighter. Let's color our whole apple red. Now remember where your shading is, and let's color the rest of the apple red. Try to go in the same direction the whole time. It'll keep your apple looking nice and tidy. You see the shading is at the bottom, and now we can color the rest of the apple in. Okay. It's looking good. How does yours look? Now if you think you need a little bit more shading, just go back over it. Press down. Make sure those bottom bits are nice and dark, and then gradually going up. Now it is a red apple, so we're going to make sure it's nice and colored in. Okay. Now let's stop and take a look and see what we think. Well, I think our shading has turned out great, but we aren't done yet. Let's add some detail to our apple now. Do you see a stem at the top? Let's draw that. With your red pencil, let's make a small circle or an oval at the top of our apple. This is where the stem is going to come out. Now you can press down hard to make this oval or circle because we want it to show up. Now inside your oval, let's do a bit of shading. Let's shade on the same side as we've shaded the apple because that's where the light's going to be coming down. So this is where the shade would be. Okay, now let's take our brown colored pencil and let's draw the stem. Now the stem is coming out of the apple. So let's draw the stem. Can you draw a stem like that? Do you see what it looks like? Just coming out of the apple like that. That's what's going to be attaching it to the tree. That's our stem. Okay. Now I'd like you to pick up your yellow colored pencil. Let's draw some more detail on our apple. Do you see that our apple isn't completely red? You can actually see there's some yellow in our apple. Let's draw that yellow. Now these are just flecks of yellow, just flakes. So we're just going to take our yellow colored pencil and we're just going to draw some yellow all around the apple, mostly on the lighter side of the apple because that's where you can see the yellow. So just draw a little bit of yellow all around where it's light. Not down here where we've done the shadow, but all around where you see the lighter bits of red. And you can press down with your pencil quite firmly so we can make sure that that yellow comes through. Okay, now put your yellow pencil down and pick up your finger. Now I'm going to show you a super cool trick that's going to make your apple look fantastic. We're going to take our finger, just our dry finger, and we're going to rub our colored pencil. We're going to rub the pencil into our apple, all around our paper. Now you might not see quite yet that it's doing anything, but I guarantee you if you rub your pencil around, your finger around your apple, you're going to blend that pencil into your picture. So you shouldn't see lines anymore. You should just see rubbed color together. And the yellow will blend in with the red. Up by the stem and all around your apple. How's it looking? Can you look at the bottom of your finger and see that it's working? Now I think that looks fantastic. Oh, so does Flash. Hello, Flash. This is typical what cats do, huh? Now, Flash, what do you think? We have drawn our apple and we've taken our finger, hi, and we've rubbed the colors together and we've blended the yellow in with the red. So now we have a lovely red apple with little highlights of yellow. So I'm not sure if Flash is so thrilled with that, but he's either going to jump on me or eat my apple. Okay, so Flash, the next thing we're going to do is draw our cast shadow. Now I'm picking up my gray colored pencil and I'm going to try to move Flash, look, he's eating me now, out of the picture. Okay, so I've safely removed Flash from the table, so he will let me draw now. And I've picked up my gray colored pencil And we're going to now draw our cast shadow underneath our apple. Now look at our picture of our still life, and you'll see that the cast shadow is underneath and to the right of the apple because the light was coming down here. So we're going to draw our cast shadow with our gray pencil. Lightly draw your circle around the bottom and to the right of your apple. Okay? Lightly draw that. Now take your gray colored pencil and we're going to color that in. Now we're going to do the same thing we did with our finger on the apple. Once we've colored the shadow in, we're going to use our finger to blend it. So we don't want any definite lines. We don't want to see a definite line there. We want to see it nice and blended like a shadow would be. So let's bear down a bit on our gray colored pencil and make our shadow. Okay, just a little bit more. Then we're going to take our finger and we're going to do some blending. Okay, you ready? I think I'm ready. All right, let's get our finger and let's blend. I'm just pressing down hard on my paper so I can get rid of the definite lines there with the shadow. How's yours looking? Press down and you can see a shadow now. There we go. There is our cast shadow. Now, the last thing we need to do is just draw the lines of our table. So, the last thing we're going to do to our still life drawing is draw lines to make our table. Now, we don't see these lines when we look at our still life picture, but we want our apple to look as if it's sitting on a surface. These lines will create that illusion. So take your brown colored pencil and we're going to lightly draw a line on either side of the apple. Now, of course, we're not going to draw the line through the apple. We're going to draw a line on one side and directly on the other side. So let's start with our line on the edge of the paper here, and we're going to do this line in the middle of our apple. Not too high, not too low, but just about the middle. So start on the edge of your paper and draw a straight line all the way across to your apple. Now go to the other side of your apple and continue that line to the opposite edge of your paper. Now you'll see that line has created the illusion that our apple is sitting on a table. We're finished with our still life drawing. What do you think? Was our apple a good object to draw? Well, I think so. Look at that beautiful, red, juicy apple. It looks good enough to eat. With some excellent drawing tips on using our pencil, creating our shading, and casting shadows, we have brought this apple to life on our paper. And boy, does it look delicious.
Well, that's the end of our lesson. I hope you've enjoyed drawing your still life. How about trying to draw another one of your favorite objects? What would happen if you changed the position of your lighting? Where would your shading go? Where would your shadows be? You've learned so many new skills that are going to help you to draw. You are a fantastic artist.
Well, we couldn't leave without singing our song. Ryan, are you out there?
Yeah.
All right, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Here we go. Do art, doodly-doo, do art, doodly-doo.
Scrap paper and your pencil too.
You can grab your marker, scissors, and your glue. You can do art, you can doodly-doo, do art, doodly-doo, do art, do what?
Art.
You're smart.